Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of ExpertlyDyed Art by Science, and this is the next video in the Sparkle Batt video series that I'm doing here. Now, I haven't done anything more with the fiber that is currently on the Swift. What I have done is picked out the locks that I want to use on the drum carder. This one here is most definitely mohair. I can just tell by feeling because it's got this really silky feel to it, and it shines just like silk. So what I've done is I've pulled it open so that when I put it through the drum carder, it's not going to catch on any of the tines. It's actually super important and even more critical when you're going to be adding locks to your bats. You want to make sure that you get any kind of like knots and tangles out and open up the locks a little bit like this, just to make sure that you don't bend any of the tines on the drum carder. And basically what I did for that, so this is another mohair lock here. So you just use your fingers to sort of like spread it apart like this. And if there's any vegetable matter in the lock itself, it'll fall out probably on your keyboard if you're not paying attention like me. So that's what I've done here is I've just kind of opened up the lock so that when I put them on, they won't ruin my drum carder. All right. Then this comes into the fun stage, like what to add. Oh, there's so many things to add. You don't have to add anything. If you want just a plain bat, like say for a child, or if you're going to be doing a lot of felting with it, if you have a very conservative friend who just doesn't want a lot of bling, you know, this is totally fine. Like you can just keep carding in the colors, and then when you spin it up, it'll have like this really beautiful striped effect. If you want to sort of like customize the blending color, you can take you know, like colors that this friend likes and blend them together a little bit like that. So I mean, to make tutorial videos for every single combination of ways that you can put the fiber on this, this would be my full-time job. Just making videos about using the bat and the colors and like all the different fibers that are available to you as an artist. But suffice it to say that you could just leave it the way that it is now, take it off, spin it, do whatever you want with it, right? But let's do something a little bit fun. So what I'm going to do first, and this is by no means full. I think this is probably maybe a third of the way full, but you know, it's a video, so let's just keep going, right? Alright, so I'm going to drop down this burnisher because I find that this helps really well for making sure that the locks stay on the Swift rather than on the liquor part of the drum carder. So in my earlier video I said go slow, so that's what I'm going to do. If you hear any kind of like ripping or if you feel any kind of pulling, immediately stop and figure out what the problem is. Okay? Now, if there are short bits of your fibers, there's like a second cut in the lock, it will get stuck on the liquor, and that's actually, for the most part, a good thing. You can remove those really, really short fibers. And then I've got this little guy here. I'm just going to open it up, and then I'm going to card it on over here. And actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put it up here. This is what happens, actually. Excuse me. This is actually what happens when you're not using the appropriate table. There's a little, there's a lock down here on the drum carder so that you screw it onto the ledge edge of the table so that it doesn't move, and it totally just moved. So, okay, there we go. Okay, technical difficulties. Alright, and then I'm going to add in this red one. So the point is, you don't necessarily have to thread or feed the locks in through this way. You can just sprinkle them sort of on top. It doesn't really matter as long as you get the locks on there and you go slow. I find when I hold the locks onto this part of the drum, I get a lot more definition which remains from the lock that way, rather than feeding it through. It kind of disrupts the formation just a little bit, but I mean, feel free to test this to see what it is that you like. And I'm going to give it a few cranks. And then let's see here, what else can we add? I know what else we could add. So I absolutely love this. And like I told you in the last video, I have an unnatural affinity for it. But one of the reasons why I really love using this is all the great colors. Like, it doesn't even really have to, like, whatever colors you've got here, they don't really have to be echoed in the pulled sari silk. Like, there's a little bit of blue and a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink in here, a little bit of orange, but it doesn't mean that this can't go on here, because, I mean, like this yellow right here, it's going to look gorgeous on here, right? Purple and yellow are complementary colors. So when those colors combine, they produce this really great brown. Some assorted sets will have you know, different colors, of course. So yours might actually be a little bit different than mine. But like, let's say you wanted some lighter colors. This little bundle here actually happens to have some lighter colors. This has some darker colors. I don't know if you can really pick up on that with this video, but the fiber in my right hand is a lot darker and more richly saturated than the colors in my left hand. So, you know, just pick and choose what colors that you want. And then what I like to do is I fluff this up, and occasionally you'll feel something in there that you don't want in your bat. Like, I thought I saw something. You know, occasionally there's debris and stuff. I mean, we're dealing with fibers here. It's not exactly, you know, medical clean, but, you know, it's clean enough for most purposes. So what I like to do is I'll like pinch this like this, and then I'll kind of just put it in some places here as I'm turning the crank for the drum cart. You want to have a light hand with this, because if your hand is really heavy, what you're going to do is you're going to, when the Swift takes some fiber and there's part of it still connected in your hand, what's going to happen is it's going to pull. And when it pulls, you're going to bend things. So you don't want to bend things. So have a very light grip when you do this. Also, and this should be a lesson learned for me as well. Also, make sure that you keep your fingertips away from the tines, especially if you have a finer carding cloth like I do. I don't know how many times I finish carding all day and like the tips of my fingers are just all beat up from being scratched by these tines. I mean, they don't really hurt, but when this thing is turning, it does kind of tear up your fingers a little bit. So keep your hands away from it as it's cranking. So that's another reason why I say pinch lightly, and then keep feeding the fiber down like this with your fingertips as there's less and less. And if you get to a point where you're not really comfortable, just stop putting it on. Okay? There we go. And because this is pulled sari silk, there's also a lot of small pieces. So don't worry if some silk kind of ends up on the liquor drum, because you can always take it off, put it in your fishbowl of fun here, and then reuse it in a different bat in the future. Alright, and then let's add some sari silk. Some sari silk threads here. Let's see here. What would be a good color? Well, let's go with red. This is sort of like a burgundy color. Okay. And then what I do, oh, you didn't probably see that. Sorry. I kind of just like open it up a little bit, and then I will dangle it over the top, just like I did for the pulled sari silk. And then occasionally some will come off, and I pick it up, put it back on. Alright. At any stage throughout this, you can be done. Like, you don't have to keep going, you don't have to have all of these extras, and by no means do I have all of the extras you could possibly have for making these really textured and blingy bats, these sparkle bats. But I find that I really like to play up the different qualities of all the different textures. Some of them are more reflective than others. Like the Angelina is highly reflective, the silk is reflective, the wool is a little bit reflective. So if you like mix and match these varieties of textures together, you get this really interesting end result. And that's part of the reason why I like using all these fibers. And I'm actually getting a shipment, hopefully soon, of even more new fibers to try out. One of which is Tencel, which I've never used before. Anyway, so let's add our final little extra touch. Let's do a little bit of this cobalt blue. And by cobalt, I meant the light blue. I looked at the cobalt blue, and I said the wrong thing. This is sort of like a lightish colored blue. I don't know if you would call it aqua, maybe. And I just kind of sprinkle it over the top. It's okay, in my opinion, it's okay if it accumulates here because it's all going to go back in here. If this concerns you a lot, what you can do is you can sandwich this in between the fibers. So like if you're feeding on fiber, you can have fiber, Angelina, and then another layer of fiber on top, and you feed it in like a sandwich. Make sure it's very thin, and that will help make sure that most of the Angelina goes on here, but I'll explain why I don't do that here in a second. Alright, I'm going to add some of this, like, I guess I would call that deep, dark magenta, maybe. Add some of this. Really like that. Add a little bit of gold to sort of add some visual interest to it. And then I'm going to add some of this cobalt blue that I was talking about just a little bit earlier. Now, this is actually quite a lot of Angelina in terms of how much fiber is here. There's not a lot of fiber. But I know that some of it is going to be accumulating on here. And like I said, if you do not like that aspect, you can always do a fiber Angelina sandwich. Sometimes what I'll do, if I'm carting up a bat with a lot of bling, I'll actually pick this, I'll just kind of like sit here and pick some of this off of the liquor and then put it back on here. And sometimes I'll even feed it up in this little space here so that it catches the burnisher before it comes back around to the liquor. Like that. So let's talk briefly about the reason why I do it this way. The reason why I do it this way is because some people will really, really, really like the colors, but they don't really like this fiber. So they might buy this and not love this pink lock that I put on there. So it's really easy to take it off. So maybe it's a little bit too much Angelina. They can take some of it off. Maybe they don't like all of the pulled sari silk, or they want to reposition things on the bat as they're spinning or as they're felting. And if I leave it more on top, it's really easy to do that. If I have it all mixed together and you don't like something, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to make those adjustments as necessary. So that's one of the reasons why I like doing it this way. I also make bats that have like the sandwich approach, where I put the add-ins in between two thin layers of wool to make sure that it stays on the bat, or it stays on the Swift rather than the liquor. And it has a more incorporated feel when you go to spin or felt. But generally speaking, I find that this is just the better of the two options for the most part. So that's why I leave it this way. Oh! Don't inhale. So I'm going to do a couple of last rounds here. Okay. Got my thing here. Alright, I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to remove the bat, just like we talked about. You want to do it in sections. So you want to get that tip in and lift up just a little bit. If you try to do it all at once, you're going to be fighting against the fiber. Alright, there we go. I love this orange being on the bottom. Look at that. The purple and the orange, I love it. So, I'm going to remove the bat. And like I said, this is sort of like doing a ponytail. Like putting your hair up in a ponytail, this is sort of like what I'm doing. Gathering all the fiber together like that. Sorry. Got a little bit of something stuck in my throat. Sorry about that. I got a little bit of something stuck in my throat. I'm like 99.9% better from being sick. Anyway, so look at this really gorgeous bat we made on air. Look at this. So this little bit of blue here, I really love the way that it looks against the purple. And this is probably one of my favorite little strips right here, this little light section. So we have a little bit of the blue and the pink mohair lock right here. We have this beautiful little strip of the pulled Surrey silk, and this has got the two different blues, the burgundy, the gold, Angelina colors here as well. So I really just love this little spot here. And then this is the whole thing all together. I will take photos of this, and maybe I'll do something fun. Maybe I'll do like a giveaway. Maybe. I don't know. I'm always inclined to keep these because I'm like, oh my gosh, this would make such beautiful yarn. Or felt. Maybe it'll make some felt. But when it comes to how I fold up the bats, I usually just kind of fold the ends down like this and then together. Right? So the ends are on the inside, and then I just roll it up. Normally I do this on a flat table. So, but yeah, and then, if you wanted to sell this, you could tie a cute little bow around the top. You could put this in a bag for storage. Wrapping up it in paper is actually better, like tissue paper. Wrapping it like that would be better. And yeah, so this is pretty exciting. I'm glad I could do this for you guys. If there's anything I didn't cover here and you wish I had, please post a comment below, or send me an email so that I know. If you want me to do more videos using the drum carder, please let me know about that as well, because I would be more than happy to do so. And yeah, if there's anything else not even related to drum carders you want to ask me, you can also do that below. And as always, you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, and I also have a link for my Etsy shop below. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.